Greetings, everyone. This is Philip Amerson again with the To Be and To Do podcast, part of the Belonging Exchange effort, where we hope to bring people together to understand the importance of interdependence and not just independence. And we are delighted to continue a conversation with Jonathan Massimi, uh, who I don't know how to describe you, Jonathan. Anglican. Well, new church start, con- community organizer, civic bloom worker. But I do know you're someone that carries in who you are concerns that the currency of the streets is valued as much as the wealth of the banks.
hmm
And the currency of the streets often is the stories that people bring along with their gifts and talents that are so often overlooked. And so when we ended the last episode, you were talking about uh, liturgy and the Eucharist and this intriguing language of tasting God in the world.
hmm
Say more about that.
Well, yeah, the in terms of the Eucharist, that notion of educating our palates, it is a full body experience, right? So when we're engaging in these spiritual practices, specifically the Eucharist, it is shaping our whole being, body, mind, soul, spirit. Also, being part of that action provides us with a narrative. So story is important, and stories can be formative. An influential, like outside of John, theologian that has had a great impact on my life is Stanley Hauerwas, and
Right.
uh, and Hauerwas has this, and I'm going to paraphrase it here. He says that you act in a world you can see, and you see what you've learned to speak. So the
Uh,
importance of language and action, and when we're immersed in the narrative of the liturgy, we are given a grammar to understand ourselves and our work. And I found that grammar aligned very well with asset based community development. So, my conversations with John, as I mentioned before, it gave me a language to explain what I was doing in the community and the ability to taste God's abundance. So, the language we typically enter into these spaces with is a language of scarcity that demeans people, that sees them as a problem to be fixed rather than a gift to be received.
right.
So this language shapes our sight and in turn our action. So that's where you can see God at work and taste God's fullness, love, and abundance in our communities, and seeing how God is at work through the gifts, not only of the church, but also the gifts present in the community. So we're not just entering into these spaces as a solution to people's problems, but we bring our gifts and bring them into association with the gifts that are present around us. And my experience has been good things happen.
So years ago, when I was up in the parish as a pastor, we started a healing group in the church, and we were neither Anglican nor Pentecostal. We were kind of somewhere in between with our own liturgies that we developed. And we would pray, anointing one another around the circle and ask what you could pray with the next person about. And I'll never forget one woman who was struggling just with her great depression over a spouse who had died of a difficult death of pancreatic cancer. And she couldn't even come back to worship because the space where the funeral had been was overwhelming to her. But when I said to her, "What would you like for me to pray with you about?" She said, well, and she stumbled and fumbled, and then she said, "Well, pray that my strength will be faithened." And then she said, "Oh, no, 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 no." And I said, "Oh, yes, 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 yes. That's exactly right. You got
Yes.
it right." And we laughed about it. But that's a piece of what, for me, has come to life and awareness with asset-based community development. How do we help the strengths that are already there be tied to the faith at work in the lives of people in the community and in the parish.
Mhm.
Um, have you had similar episodes of enlightenment that came as a surprise?
Well, and I think that's an element of ABCD, so asset-based community development, is surprise. Are you surprised to with what you find, right? Especially when you have the various labels on certain communities and people. And I joke, it's like I have a liquidation store right up the street from my house, and you see, oh, this is 99 cents, great, and you start pulling back the labels, and it was originally $20, and you think you got this amazing deal. And I think that we do the same with people. We put these labels on them, and the more we peel back, we actually arrive at the value that they bring, and the
Nice.
gift that they bring. So yes, I've been surprised, especially there was this one gentleman. He actually had a restraining order by many churches because he
Wow.
would go in and disagree with the minister during the sermon, right?
I know that guy.
Yeah, and he'd shout and things like that, and I developed a relationship with him. We'd go out for coffee and such. And he said, "Well, aren't you afraid I'm going to hurt you? Aren't you afraid that?" Because there was one time I had multiple passengers in my car, and I go, "Okay, hop in," and he was sitting behind me. He goes, "Aren't you afraid that I'm behind you and I'll do something to you?" He goes, "No,
Oh,
nobody ever lets me sit behind them."
wow.
And I said, "Well, I don't think you do that." I go, I trust you. So we've developed over the years this relationship, and so he was street involved and slowly made his way to having a one bedroom apartment. And one night he's like, "Can I host you?" I'm like,
Uh,
"Sure." So I go into, he has his mattress, his TV, fridge, stove, and we had singles, wine, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on VHS, and we sat there and watched it with each other, and I was receiving his hospitality and the gifts that he had to offer. He never caused any issues with our congregation. He was welcomed by people in the congregation, and that relationship continued. And seeing the value that he brought, or the not just the value, but the gifts that he brought to the congregation, and his insights were actually a wonderful gift because as iron sharpens iron, he was bringing in insights from his lived experience, and bringing them into conversation with what others were offering, and it was quite powerful discussions, and his presence was a gift.
so you are reminding me of story after story in my ministry that's related to the joy, the gift, the romance of parish life that I find is too often underappreciated or actually unknown, as folks want to bring in the latest hot item of how we're going to fix you and your poor benighted congregation.
Yeah.
And I, I'm I'm wondering if the anxiety that's felt across mainline denominations doesn't prevent us from just the simple work of, well, your language, if I have it right, is of knowing how to enter a conversation as the guest.
hmm Yeah. How do you enter into those spaces? How are you received? And I know, through our conversations, that's like a theological perspective that I'm currently wrestling with. So if you look at, for example, the life of Christ, he was a guest in a virgin's womb. And guest at many people's tables. And I also see that as a trajectory in our life where we are guests in our mother's womb, right? We're a stranger to the person that's carrying us. And Jesus gives us that promise that he goes and prepares a place. So even at the end, we're a guest in a father's house. So we're always being received. We're always a stranger,
Okay,
right?
so we're going to talk about this more in the next episode.
Yep.
because this when Jonathan first started talking about this when I with me, which was a month ago maybe,
Hmm.
I found myself walking around seeing the world with new eyes. And that happens to me. I don't know how many conversions you've had in your life, Jonathan, but I'm on like number 714 or something, and you helped me get to one of those conversions.
Right.
Seeing the world in new ways, or what's the Swahili language? Is it Swahili? Subone?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
oh,
Yeah.
powerful, powerful way of thinking about life and the world. We're going to pause here one more time, and we'll have Jonathan back next episode to talk more about what it means to see the world as if you are the guest and not the caregiver or the powerful one. This is Philip Amerson coming to you as part of the Belonging Exchange resource, and these are the To Be and To Do podcasts. Until next time, remember, interdependence may be more important than independence. Bye bye.